everyone, hey all, and today I am both honored and humbled to be able to add to my collection Mastermind Creations MMC's Salvia Prominon. She will be our focus this time around in the latest Gotbot True review. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka Gotbot. As always, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe while you're at it. Loud 'em up, baby. And hit that notification bell, please. It lets you know when content of all sorts goes up. It helps me out a ton. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, Transformers, Collectors, NL, The Autobot Family, Transformers vs. G.I. Joe vs. DC Universe vs. Marvel. And all of my social media links, all of those are in the description below. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link, check us out on Patreon, see what we offer to you through Teespring, or of course hit the join button right here on YouTube and become a channel member. And this is Salvia Prominon, a third-party offering from MMC for Solus Prime. And I have been trying to amass some version of the 13 for a long time, and it's a slow-going process. And I always kind of wanted this iteration of Solus Prime. I wanted Salvia Prominon. I think she looks absolutely beautiful, and thanks to Razor Bear, I finally have her in hand. I am beyond thankful to him, beyond humbled. This is a great addition, and it's a character that we have so few representations of outside of a couple of Titan Masters. Yes, this is a third-party offering, but it might just embody the character about as ideal as you're gonna get. Let's find out when we head over to the table and take a closer look at her. And yes indeed, so thanks to Razor Bear, I am very thankful to be able to add to my growing collection of the 13, or at least my version thereof, which is indeed quite the mishmash. Now, to be fair, I do not have all 13 yet. I'm going to show toward the end of this who I do have, or at least who I have versions thereof. This is also my very first time with an MMC offering. I've never handled, seen in person, anything from Mastermind Creation, so I'm excited that Salvia Prominon, who is super hard to get, is my first foray into this. Now, here's what's interesting. As many people will already know, this mold has been used a few times. It was used for Zinnia, which is the Paradron Medic. It was used for Salvia Euporium, who is Elita 1, and it was used for Azalea. I think Azalea is the name. And that, of course, is their version of RC. Now, what's really interesting is that this version actually comes with a bunch of accessories. We'll talk about what she does and does not come with, but first we're going to begin with the box. And right away you can see beautiful artwork on the front of the box of Salvia Prominon, who of course is a third-party version of Solus Prime, one of the original members of the 13, and here she is wielding the forge. On the top, we have some product image. On the side over here, same thing. We see the face a little bit, and on the side over here, face a little bit. And on the back, we get to see a whole bunch of images of her, as well as her alt mode. But this mold can actually make a few alt modes, and we're going to kind of address all of them. Truth be told, it's actually a very versatile mold. The only other thing that I wanted to show here is that if you are somebody who likes to keep things in box, this one actually has a magnetized kind of flap that opens. Nice kind of artwork, black and white artwork in here of Salvia Prominon again. I do not have anything in here because, of course, I have her taken out so that we can do the review. If we run through the accessories, we can see that she comes with this bag that has these two pieces in it. I had no idea what they were for. I believe that they go with Zinnia if you want her to be able to do some of the other alt modes. Oh, we have the little flight stand, or heel spur, if you will, that comes with all of them. This one is in this weird kind of like translucent teal plastic. It's really strange, but it's kind of cool. She comes with two of these gold molded blasters. The handle can flip up on it, so you can come here and like flip the handle up like that if you want. It helps for storage. I think that these blasters came with the Elita 1 version and with the Paradron Medic version, so Zinnia and Euporium, I think it is. I think that's the only ones it came with. I could be wrong. She also comes with, we have two of these gold molded swords. The blade piece is the weird, like tealy type of translucent plastic. This is gold. There's a rectangular slot back here and rectangular pegs right there. They will be useful later on. And while she doesn't come with the kind of like bow and arrow type of deal that comes with Euphoria, I don't know, the Alita 1 version, she does naturally come with the Forge of Solus Prime. This is 2 parts. You can remove this top piece. It is cast in gold, mostly with some gunmetal gray. It's gorgeous. I absolutely love the look of this thing. And indeed, here we have Salvia Prominon in all of her gorgeous glory with her translucent teal, her gold, and her lavender. And it's kind of difficult because she's supposed to be a version of Solus Prime, but we have so little information on Solus Prime that there was kind of a lot of creativity that could be taken with her. In fact, usually when people think about Solus Prime, for the most part, many will defer to the art depicted in the Covenant of Primus, and this is definitely a departure from that. I mean, this has a face plate as opposed to a face. I'll show her head sculpt closer in a moment. But that art, again, it has like a wash of lavender. She sort of has a wash of lavender. I kind of like the addition of the translucent pieces and the gold. I think it's sort of nice. We've also seen her depicted in the comics. There are a couple of nods here to that as well, and perhaps most recently in the Prime Wars trilogy cartoon, but again, like, while there's some gold and lavender that makes her up, she had a full face there instead of a face mask. Like, there are liberties taken, but at the time that this was made, we really didn't have anything much to go by. So when I think of the character, I sort of think of this. I certainly think of this as Solus Prime more than either of these little Titan Masters. Though, to be fair, the one that came with, I don't know, did it come with Blast Off or did it come with Punch, Counter Punch? It came with one of those. I don't think it came with Repugnus. But the little exclusive one, it too is sort of lavender with some like translucent teal-y pieces. And it's kind of closest to this and sort of closest to what we think of as Solus Prime. A lot more than what we got at stock retail. Yeah, they don't fill the bill for me. The little Titan Masters don't really work for Solus Prime for me, but that's just me. As such, for her look, we're gonna say that she's a 10. Why not? Why not? Then we have all of her bits and pieces, and all of that can go on her in robot mode. So we're gonna do that as well. For her blasters, I did fold them up. There's a little rounded hole on them, and there are nubs on her thigh plates. And these fit on over those nubs quite easily. Do the same over here. Thigh plates move too, so that's worth noting because we'll need to know that later. As I put this on. Shouldn't be hard, but there. So I got those on to help her stand. As with all versions of this mold, we can take the flight stand piece and is it this side? I think it's this side. Yeah, it's this side. There's a little nub there and it goes in behind the heel. And that does tremendously help her stand up. The two swords, they go on the back. If I get this out of the way, there's a rectangular slot in here on the gold plastic, and the hole that I mentioned earlier, these go, that goes over that rectangular slot. The first time I did it, it was frighteningly tight. It really, really, really was. Maybe it's this way. Maybe I should have a big blade up. It seems to have loosened after doing it a few times, so I've done it on that side. Same over here. Get that one out of the way, and we should be able to. And because I'm a goof, I was putting it on upside down. This is what it looks like after. I guess if you really wanted to, you could open out the blades and have them up over her shoulders, but why would you want to necessarily do that? Her face sculpt, by the way, is beautiful, by the way, with those bright blue eyes and all the gold and the faceplate. I'm cool with like a battle mask type of thing. Speaking of those blades over her shoulders, that's what they could look like, I guess. And finally, here we have the forge in her hand, just fine. It fits in there no problem. It doesn't take a lot to pop it out, however, but you know what? As long as you don't kind of knock it about, it works just fine. She's beautiful. So far we've got a 10 for her look. What about her articulation? Well, let's take the forge out of her hand and we'll see kind of how that goes. So, articulation-wise, we have a head that's, I'm going to say on a ball joint. It can go up and down. It can go left and right. However, on my copy, the chest does not at all like to stay plugged in. So when I lift her head up, a lot of times her chest comes unplugged. That's unfortunate. As well, this shoulder pad over here always religiously falls off. The arms, for the most part, can go out about that far, all the way to the side like you would want. We have a bicep swivel, we have a super deep elbow because of the transformation. Kind of looks weird here, but it's a super deep elbow. The wrist can swivel. The forearm gold piece, I think it moves too. Yeah, the forearm piece, it moves as well. Again, for transformation. Assuming that you can kind of tab everything in nicely, there's a, I'm going to say a ball peg at the upper chest, so the chest can sort of wiggle and move around a bit. We do have, if we take this piece down on the back, we do have a, I think we got a, yeah, we do have a waist swivel, but if you have this piece up like this, then it's going to hinder that waist swivel, so you kind of probably want that down. It moves pretty freely. The legs can go well forward. The legs can go well back. They can go not as far out to the side as I'd like. If you take the blasters off her thighs and you kind of move these hip skirt pieces a bit, you can get a little bit more, but out to the side, like if we take this one off, like, well, maybe you can get further than I thought. Maybe you can get further than I thought. Let me get that piece out. Maybe if you move that out of the way. Yeah, if you move the thigh, the like gold piece of the thigh out of the way, like you can actually get her almost full splits, so I take that back. We do have a thigh rotation. We have the gold piece that can move. We have an extremely deep knee. I love that. We have forward, down on the toes. We have an ankle tilt back and forth. Honestly, I don't think there's anything more I could want her to do. I just wish that this chest piece on my copy pegged in better. I don't think that that's like necessarily a fault with the mold. I think that's just my copy being a nuisance. I'm going to say that her articulation is, I'm going to say it's a solid 9.5. So with an overall score so far of a 9.75, let's get into the transformation. It is a bit of a bear until you're used to it. Not because conceptually it's hard, but in practicality, it's kind of more challenging than I think it necessarily should be. I took off all of her bits and pieces. I'm even going to, though you don't need to, but it makes it easier if you do, I'm going to take off that piece, and I'm going to take off that piece. Those pieces just peg into little pieces right here. Sometimes the pegs that are in them like to come out rather than stay put. That's a nuisance. So we pick the head up, bring that down. We pick the whole kind of back section here out. All of that kind of goes out for now. Then here on the side, we want to turn the arm. There's a little peg hole on the back of the arm. That turns out, and this blue translucent piece should come down and peg into that peg hole. And then we should be able to kind of collapse the arm, and then on the translucent piece there's another peg hole, and the arm tabs in there. So we should be able to bring all of that up. And it should, if we have it all lined up correctly, then that arm should be able to tab in there. Same on the other side. We turn it, we open it, we tab that in, we collapse the arm, we bring it up, and we tab it in. That one went easier than this one over here. Let me get this one done and then we'll go on. When you're done, both arms should look like this, all tabbed in nicely. Now that we've got the arms done, our next course of action is to get these these pinky color holes down into this gap, this section right here. It's a bit of a pain to do because you have to take this and basically uncomfortably rotate it. And I say uncomfortably because it doesn't feel good turning that around. It really, really doesn't. But you get that one up, and then you should be able to also get this one up into position. Oh, that never feels good to me. Up like that. Woo, baby. Then we're going to kind of feed the head kind of down through the body down here. And we're going to straighten up the chest. So it all sort of looks like this when you're done. Uncomfortable, not gonna lie. The hips, you pull out, you pull out. You're going to rotate the hip. There's a peg inside. Rotate the hip. There's a peg inside. These hands are going to go over those pegs inside. I wanted to show this. On this side, the hand is into the peg that's kind of behind the thigh. On this side, it's not. You will notice that this shoulder is collapsed up higher than this shoulder. You have to make sure to collapse the shoulder up. While we're here, you can also, if you want, flip out that little piece. We're going to need it later. If you're not sure what I'm talking about when it comes to pegging the hand over the peg that's in the thigh, behind the thigh where it's hollowed out, this one is pegged on. You can see the peg on the other side. It is not pegged on yet. Very important you do that. Once you do that, you should be able to spin the gold piece that's on the forearm pretty solidly, and you should be able to adjust the gold piece that's on the thigh pretty solidly. If you haven't already done so, you're going to want to put your finger in behind here and push forward. I tend to use my thumb and I tend to do it from this side, but whatever. Why do you want to do that? Because your front should look like this. Do you see this little space between the abdomen and the pelvis right here? That little space inside, that little hinge inside that needs to be elongated for tabbing stuff in later on underneath the vehicle mode. Trust me, make sure that that's done. You'll thank me later. Now we need to talk about this gold piece right here. There are two pieces on that end, and then there's a tab here and a tab on the other side. The singular tabs are the one that you want to use, or the ones that you want to use. You can rotate this around to get it in the position you need it. That tab is going to tab into really the back of her heel, where we had the heel spur plugged into before. The slot that I'm talking about on the back of her heel is this little slot here. So the entire leg folds up over and pegs in. Right there, you can see how we have the heel plugged in, the toe is straightened out, and the hand is technically inside the thigh. Once you do all of that, then you just need to put these down. Now you could have put them down earlier, but I forgot. So really all you do is you rotate the leg out until this can go down in under, and then you can even rotate the leg back up. Same over here, rotate the leg down until that goes under and rotate it up. In essence, for the first mode, we have it done. It is this weird hover car thing. We can take our, make sure that's the right way, we can take our little heel spur flight stand piece and it goes underneath like that. I think this is the version that Zinnia, the Paradron medic, uses. Now I'm going to save putting her blasters and swords and everything else on her until we get to the final mode. Next, if you want, you can use these pieces, and those pieces have two places that they can go on, way up front, or they can go in on the side here. If they go in on the side, in the little holes here, this is the holes that they're in when they're over her shoulders. If they go in there, then that is what was used for Azalea. And that mode looks more like this. It does look like RC's car mode, except it doesn't have any tires. I don't think that the Azalea version does it either. I think it's supposed to be like a hover car. Or you could take those same pieces and put them up front. And of course that version looks like this. Again, like it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's another hover, Cybertronian hover thing. Then we get to the last one, and the last one requires you to kind of rotate the legs, and you sort of need to move the thigh piece. Rotate the leg and move that thigh piece and rotate the leg out, and then these sections open out. If you can get them down even flatter, cool, but basically it turns into like a flight type of mode that looks more like this. And yes, finally we get a mode that looks something like this. Now, to put the pieces on, her sword pieces, they can either go under her legs or they can go tabbed in up right there. There's a slot right there. I tend to like to tab them on the top and open out the blade so it looks like there's a double wing. And again, the blaster pieces, they will go underneath here once more on her thighs. The forge goes separated, so we have this piece that will go snapped up under the back, and then this piece goes up underneath. It all kind of looks like this in the end. You can see right there where we have the sword pegged onto the leg. That's the same on both sides. There's a rectangular tab there. It's into a rectangular hole way back on the leg. The blasters, they are once again underneath on the thighs. And if we come down here, this is the handle, the hilt, whatever you want to call it, for the forge. There's a peg on this side and a peg on the other side. They slot up really into the tummy, but if you don't have the waist and the tummy separated like I showed you earlier with that one little hinge, just that millimeter or two, you will not have the space, the room for this and this to tab in nicely. But in the end, ain't that one cool, wild alt mode? Woo, baby. Now the transformation's a bit of a beer. The gold plastic feels rigid to me. I was concerned that it might break, but I don't think so. The more I've worked with it, the better it feels to me. The rest of the plastic feels tremendously good. The more I fiddle with her, the better I feel. In theory, folding up the legs and just pegging them onto the arms should be easy. It is not. I'm going to say that the transformation here, and I showed you a lot of things up close because it's not easy to just kind of figure it out, and the instructions really aren't any help. You'll notice I didn't show you the instructions because they're no good. But like, I tried to show you as much as I could. So if you have any version of this mold, you should be able to get it done. These front pieces up here, tabbing them in anywhere is brutal. Now she's beautiful. I'm going to say that the overall score for the transformation is about a 7. She was a 9.75, a 7 for the transformation. Overall, this is still a solid 8 for a offering, and maybe even a bit higher for a version of Solus Prime. Now, that brings us to the kind of last thing, which is her with all of her brethren. For the record, here are the instructions. Like, nice, big, clear images. It's not effective. And we had some other concept art in there, and then we had a comic in there as well. Plus, she comes with, dude, when was the last time we had the ever-popular collector card? Nice artwork there. Ton of stats on the back. I love that her skill just has a question mark, like it's infinite. Her strength, not the best. Her intelligence is quite high. Her speed is alright high. Her endurance, well, we all know what her fate was, so that's not super high. But her, I don't know, her courage is really high. I like stats. And so here we have my ever-growing collection of the 13 primes. We do not have 13 here yet, and some of these will probably end up replaced. I tend to go by the Covenant more than anything else. So this mold of Protoform Optimus Prime has been retconned to be Prima, and honestly, if you look at the art in the Covenant, it matches this pretty well. Vector Prime back here, Alpha Trion right there. Solus now, thanks to Salvia Prominon. Micronus is over by Megatronus, or the Fallen. It is actually the little Prime Master, because it matches for Micronus, since he was the first Minicon. Nexus Prime, sad Nexus Prime here. This is a KO. I would like to have a proper Nexus Prime. That would be great. Instead of the Liege Maximo, because we don't have a version of the Liege Maximo, I've actually included Logos Prime as represented by Sound Blaster, though it's not the Galaxy Force or Cybertron or whatever it is, Sound Blaster. It is the Siege Sound Blaster, and I actually have a Hell Buzzsaw repainted. But it's what I'm using as Logos Prime, and of course we have the Fallen, or Megatronus Prime in the end, and the 13th Prime, that of course being Optimus himself. So I'm missing Alchemist, who I'd love to have. I'm missing Onyx. I'm missing Amalgamus, Quintus, and while there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 here, in essence I am substituting Logos Prime for the Liege Maximo because we don't have a version thereof. It should be noted that if you go by certain other versions, sometimes Salamis and Epistemus get included, sometimes Adaptimus and Mortimus or Sentinel Prime get included, so it varies, but I tend to go by the 13, and this is what I have so far. Salvia Prominon herself, I love her, I think she's fantastic, but the transformation's a bear. And here we are once again, and here she is once again, and in a way, I'm really smitten. I love the look. I love the shine of the gold. I love the lavender. I even like the translucent bits, to be honest with you. I think the forge looks beautiful. I think her face makes sense, even if it's not kind of traditional with what we've learned about the character now, where she has a full face. Instead, she has like a battle mask on here. The articulation is fine. It's great. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but it's pretty good. The accessories are top-notch. The transformation, in theory, should be easy, but in practice, it is more fiddly and finicky than I'd like. I think most of that, though, is simply having to get used to the way things move. Though, to be fair, a few tabs do like to pop out. And a couple of nuances, like the waist and the tummy, are easily overlooked and can be frustrating if you don't know any better. I tried to show all the modes that she's capable of, which are all really the same, with variations of where you put the shoulder pauldron pieces and where you angle the legs for the most part. I think she's great. Is she perfect? No, but I think she's extremely strong. And I do think that her aesthetic and her look fits in very nicely with my current amassed group of the 13, of which I have about 9. And they are from all over the map. Yes, the aesthetic changes, but I'm okay with that as long as I have representations of those characters. Some we don't really have any representations of. I'm looking at you, Liege Maximo. I know, we got some Titan Masters, but it's hard to kind of count them when we have beautiful offerings like this. Maybe one day we will get the other ones. For now, I'm very happy with her, very happy to add her. And this was also my first foray into MMC, and I gotta say, color me impressed. Let me know what you guys think about her. Let me know what you guys think about MMC. I appreciate you coming by and giving me some of your extremely valuable time, man. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon, see what we offer to you through Teespring, or of course, hit the join button right here on YouTube. While you're at it, hit the subscribe button, stick around, have some fun with us on the channel, man. Don't forget that somehow, someway, each and every single solitary day, man, you do make a difference. And I look forward, baby, to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights at the stop motion premieres, or the old-fashioned way, right here, inside the videos.